Ruslan.
One of the channels I'm a big fan of is called Cross-Examined. Dr. Frank Turek does these live Q&As at different college campuses, and it's usually themed around apologetics and all these questions these skeptics are throwing at him, and he's just like a ninja, just answering them flawlessly, man. I really appreciate Dr. Frank Turek's content, but I wanted to highlight this video from 2015 with regards to him talking about Christianity's place in politics, divorce, homosexuality, so on and so forth. Now, I may or may not agree with whatever his ultimate premise is with regards to politics. It doesn't really matter. The question and the way he answers this question, I thought was brilliant, and I loved his heart for it, and I loved his ownership. So the first part of this question, they ask him, should Christians be involved in politics? He says yes, because everything about our lives is political, and he goes over different examples of how the policies regarding churches, sharing the gospel, even gathering in this context, all these things are actually political. And so then he says, do we not have the ability to differ? And he says something really interesting. I thought he was gonna go one direction with it, but let me just play the clip.
Agree on certain viewpoints, or can there be dissension?
Well, of course there can be dissension. I think that if it's hard for me to believe that someone is a Christian and yet disagrees with Jesus.
It's hard for me to believe that someone's a Christian yet disagrees with Jesus. Okay, respect. So I'm thinking he's going to go down the, don't be a Democrat conversation. That's where I thought this was going. But where he takes it is really interesting. Check this out.
Like, I know this is controversial, but it shouldn't be. In the church, if you truly believe the Bible's true, what did Jesus say marriage was? Between a man and a woman, Matthew 19. Of course, the great commandment, thou shalt not murder, abortion. And you know what Christians really have a problem with?
So listen to this. He says this, and he's like, but you know what Christians really have a problem with? Watch what he says.
The divorce rate.
The divorce rate.
Divorce rate is very high. Here we are pointing at all the homosexuals and saying, yeah, you guys are bad. Yeah. What about us? We're doing the same kind of stuff. We're not obeying the scriptures either. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're not obeying the scriptures, you can't point out that other people have done wrong. That's true. They may have done wrong. But we had to get our own house in order too. Because the biggest disaster we can have in society is to destroy the biological two-parent family. If you destroy the biological two-parent family, then all of society goes down with it. And
wow. Biggest disaster we can have in society is to destroy the biological two-parent family. Okay? But watch what he says after this, guys.
It wasn't started by homosexuals. It was started by the sexual revolution, which gave us no-fault divorce laws, which have led now to kids being born out of wedlock, kids being abandoned by their parents, because now marriage is just about feelings and it's not about commitment or children anymore. That's a disaster. In fact, I submit to you that probably half the people in this room, if not more, have been scarred by no-fault divorce. Scarred. True? Yeah. And the church is to blame.
The church is to blame. Wow, I didn't say it. Friends, I didn't say it. Dr. Frank Turek said it. He said it wasn't the LGBTQ people. He said it wasn't Marxism. He said the church is to, what? Y'all know if I made the same exact video and I said everything he said, you guys will lose it on me. Oh, you lefty. Ruslan, you just leftist liberal. You just want to love the people in the world. You love the world. He said it. I ain't say it. He's a doctor.
And the church is to blame. So, yeah, we got to get our own house in order. But that doesn't mean we give up on these other issues. We should be involved and just leave the results to God. By the way, it's not our job to win any political debate. We can't do that anyway. Our job is to be faithful and leave the results to God. Wow.
Shout out to Dr. Frank Turek. This is 2015. And I've said this before on the channel. I'm hyper responsibility. Hyper responsibility. Meaning that I'm always going to look at not what my son did wrong in the equation, not what my wife did wrong in the equation. I'm always going to look inward first. And I'm going to say, what responsibility do I have in this situation to make it better? What responsibility do I have to make the situation worse? And I feel like when we look at society, we look at the social ills in society, as Christians, as the church, instead of blaming and finger pointing, we first have to look inward and say, hey, what did we do to cause this? What is our role in this? Were we the hands and feet of Jesus? Did we lead by example? Did we exemplify godly marriage for people? But when we look at all the studies, when we look at the numbers, the divorce rate in the church and out of the church is the same. The depression, the anxiety rates are the same. Sexual immorality rates are the same. You have a church claiming to have all these solutions and critiquing everything the world is doing, but yet we don't have our own house in order. I didn't say it. Dr. Frank said it. Go leave an angry comment on his channel. So when I start talking about, hey, financial literacy, get out of debt, get on a budget, get your house in order, get out of debt, get on a budget, pay off your debt, save up a 6-month emergency fund, get your finances in order. Do you guys know the number one reason for divorce? Money fights and money problems. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did you know that number one reason why people get divorced is money fights and money problems? So, if you want to help make the world a better place, you want to live out Jesus in the gospel, let's live it out in our homes first. Let's live it out in our marriages first. If you're not married, really consider the type of spouse you're picking. Are you just looking for someone that's your type, that's your fetish? Or are you looking for somebody that is going to be an amazing parent with you, is going to be with you and going to be fun to be around when you're both older and you both let yourself go, right? Don't let yourself go, but you understand what I'm saying? What type of person are you looking for? Do they have your same values? Do they believe in the same God you believe in? What's their relationship like with money? What's their relationship like with their in-laws? Right? Have you had those conversations? How many kids do they want? Do they want kids? What kind of parent are they going to be? Because that person you think is hot at 21 may not be a great parent at 26. Okay, that's if you're single. Now, if you're married, your finances are a train wreck. You're working jobs that you hate. You live in paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. You might want to get on a budget. You might want to check out some of these baby steps, these Dave Ramsey baby steps, right? Not an endorsement of everything Dave Ramsey represents, but hey, you might want to pay off your debt. Hey, you may want to develop some more useful, scarce skills so that, I don't know, you can make some more money. Why? So that, I don't know, when you go to have kids, one of you guys could stay home and raise the kids so that, oh, I don't know, you don't pay somebody else to raise your kids, because when they did the cost benefit analysis of a dual income family versus a single income family, they found out that the single income family actually comes out ahead financially and actually takes home more money because you mitigate a lot of the expenses. It's very expensive to put kids in daycare nowadays. A lot of you guys don't know that. Who's going to stay home and care for the home, right? These are conversations that we don't really think about. And again, North America, the number one reason for divorce is money fights and money problems. So as you're pursuing Jesus, pursue him wholly. Examine his word for how he wants your marriage to look, what kind of parent he wants you to be, how he wants you to handle your money, which is really ultimately his money, the money he's entrusted you with, the children he's entrusted you with, the marriage he's entrusted you with. Because it's very easy to look at other people and point the finger and say, they're doing it wrong. They're doing it, the world's doing it wrong, the world's bad. It's all bad, 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 bad. The agenda, they're bad. Yeah, well, gosh, we sure are leading by example, aren't we? When you look at all the studies, goodness gracious, it don't look like the church is much different than the world after all. So why would the world listen to the church on anything? Why would we be the moral authority on anything? But when you actually build your life on the rock of Jesus, on his ways of doing things, it's interesting how all of a sudden those people that were skeptics on the sidelines had things to say about you when you first come to Jesus. 10 years later, they come with you with all the questions. Oh man, how are you so happy? How's your marriage so good? How are you guys so kind to each other? I've never seen you and your wife fight. I've never seen you guys argue. I've never heard you speak ill of her. It's like, oh, Ruslan, you're just saying it's all about money. No, I'm not saying it's all about money. I'm saying get your house in order. Take care of yourself. And by the way, with the money, there is a degree of diminishing returns. Meaning, based on where you live, there is such a thing as making too much money, where now the money becomes more of a headache to steward it, and becomes more of a headache to how are you going to handle all this money? What are you going to do with it? The guilt you may feel. Family members coming to you because they need money. You start becoming the anchor for all the folks in your life that don't have money, right? Because there is that too. By the way, you can make too much money. Some of my most wealthiest people that I know are very generous, but they got a lot of headache and stress because people pocket watching. They know what they make, right? So it's not just about money. It's about stewardship. It's about how are you handling what God has given you? How are you handling your time, your talent, your treasure? Are you taking care of your body? You taking care of your mind? How's your sleeping? You spending time with your family, you checking out from social media, you putting your phone down. Those are my thoughts. Shout out to Dr. Frank Turek. I'd love to have him on the channel sometimes. Maybe we can make that happen. I know he's friends with Alan Parr. Big fan of Cross-Examined. And I'm glad he said this so I don't have to say it, because y'all get mad at me when I say stuff like this. You say I'm emphasizing, you're so worldly and you just care about the world and you give me all this shenanigans. But, let someone like that say it. Maybe it'll cut through. Maybe it'll be a bit more disruptive then. So, I don't know. What y'all think?
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan